hide my guests for a little bit. So, hello everyone, and honestly, guys, thank you so much, so much, so much for joining on. And if you're going to be catching on the replay, I want to say thank you for joining on. It's your girl Noble IJ, and we are here to, oh my God, to blow your mind. Today we have this very amazing, incredible guest. Like, whoa, incredible, amazing guest. She is awesome. She's been an RN for 27 years, and she is here to share her amazing story. And she's in that path of healing, and we will be hearing the story in a bit. I just really want to do some wellness check for you guys. How you doing today? How is your day going? And I'm going to be bringing this guest shortly. But if you're just kind of like joining on and you don't know who stated before you, I just want to say that my name is Noble IJ. I'm the host of the Beautifully Broken Me podcast. And honestly, guys, we really kind of like this podcast is inspired by my life story. I have those episodes down below. We've been releasing weekly episodes every Monday since I started, and we've gone 77 weeks. Yay! So we're not going to stop because we know that, we're impacting life, we're touching lives. And if you have an amazing story, I just want to say that your stories are not for you. Your stories are not for you to keep, okay? And they are just so that you can inspire other people, just like my guest is doing. And I will be bringing her on shortly. I just really, really kind of like officially want to welcome you to the Beautifully Broken Me podcast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again. I'm honored to be here because you're beautiful and magnificent. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, like, we're thrilled to have you. And I was just thinking, I'm like, I know you've been here before on my podcast. This is more like a return match, and this is gonna be coming really beautiful, really strong, really, providing healing and recovering and all those amazing juicy stuff, right?
Yes.
And before we disclose, the topic of our conversation today, I just really want you to, tell the audience about yourself for a bit. Who is Stacey?
So I'm still working on that part, so forgive me. um, Honestly, who I am right now, every morning when I look in the mirror, I see a survivor. I see someone who should not be here. My life is a miracle, as you've said. Strong, confident, empowering, inspiring, sometimes afraid, sometimes a little bit of fear, but I feel who I am right now is who I'm supposed to be exactly in this moment. Happy, joyful, at peace.
Absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, like, I know she didn't do justice kind of introducing herself. And I really want to put a little background about, like, so you can get to know, like, Stacey. Like, she is amazing. I'm just going to read her bio for a bit. So Stacey has been a healer for 27 years, and she is an awesome, incredible RN. She is basically, she found her true calling as a best-selling author and a spiritual teacher after surviving a debilitating near-death, experience. Basically, it was an ill health, and during Stacey's darkest hour, which she might share a little bit of, of those kind of things. She'll share a little bit of those darkest hour with us. Those darkest hour really kind of like where her greatest teacher, she's actively healing and showing women how to release their inner child and limiting belief, so that they can learn how to fly, which is, fucking loving yourself first. And honestly, Stacey knows everyone has a purpose, and she is so loving. She helps women awaken, their souls and promote that, that passion that is inside of them, and just empowering women to speak their truth and take their power back. And honestly, that is what Stacey has, come to do. At some point, I just really want to put a disclaimer on this conversation. Might seem a little, might uncomfortable somewhere, whatever. But I just really want you guys to know that, we're just here to bring it all out. We don't want to keep these stories to ourselves, Because if we keep it to ourselves, then healing isn't taking place, right? Healing takes place when we pour it out, when we share it, and that's basically what it is. So, Stacey, I just really want to welcome you again. Welcome you again. And I just want to also get right into this conversation. So, this topic, it's something that is like, whoa, what are they talking about? Recovery Shameaholic. What does that really mean? Let's really start from there.
So I've lived a lifetime of shame, blame, and regret from unresolved childhood trauma. And I always knew something was holding me back from living my best life, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. So everything that I found out in the last 2.5 years of doing trauma therapy, I realized, oh man, I really was really hard on myself. And the only thing I felt comfortable coming to terms with was saying, I'm a recovering shameaholic
Hmm.
because I saw shame when I looked in the mirror. I couldn't
Wow.
see anywhere past that shame. My eyes were full of just darkness, and I wasn't living my best life. So when I was able to say my shame is a liar, fear is a liar, limiting beliefs, they're all lies. But for me, shame was the big daddy. Shame was it for
Hmm.
me. And I knew if I could conquer my shame and get on the top of the mountain and say, I've recovered, I've done it, the rest of my life is golden. So that's why I call it that.
Yeah, and let's just really talk about like people who live in shame. Because shame, like you said, shame is the big daddy. Like shame
Big
is
daddy.
ridiculous, and shame
Horrible.
limits you. And how does shame affect us psychologically, medically, even as you're in the medical profession? So how does shame really keep us stuck?
It manifests in multiple diseases. Stress is the number one contributor to disease. I can speak from experience, and I only speak from experience. Huge disclaimer. I was misdiagnosed with several autoimmune diseases. No one could figure out what was wrong with me. They just kept throwing pills at me, and I took them because I could not function without antidepressants 10, 15 years ago. I
Hmm.
could not function. If it wasn't for them, I would not be here. So shame will manifest in several autoimmune diseases. Just the stress and anxiety alone, people don't understand. We're putting so much pressure on ourselves. Let's take a moment, step back, and let go of the stuff that doesn't serve us that will manifest in disease.
Absolutely.
I've seen it millions of
Absolutely.
times.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Honestly, like, living in shame could cripple somebody. And
Cripple.
I've lived in shame before. And I don't want to go into that story, but everybody in this world, like, I want to say, have experienced one shame or the other. And I just want us to really kind of like talk deep into shame before we go into like the men, like, the actual conversation. We're really kind of like peeling the layers of the onion little by little. So let's really kind of like talk about like, okay, what else does shame do? Because everybody, when you're a child, children go through one, shame or the other, whatever. Like, let's just really
Right.
kind of like talk, stay here for a bit, and then we can
Mhm.
move on to our actual conversation. And I'm excited to hear that story.
I mean, to me, shame holds us back from living our best life. Shame is pretty much, it can manifest in anxiety, it can manifest in depression. So you're not really living your best life if you're not owning up to that stuff. Shame will mess you up. For
Mm.
me, for my body, physically, it was the worst thing I could have done. Once I was able to release that, and we've got people walking around not thinking, oh, I'm anxious because of life. No, you're anxious because of the shame and what you're putting your body under so much stress because you're not living your most authentic life because of the shame.
Absolutely.
It
And
hit me like a 2x4.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, shame kind of deprives us of so many
Horrible.
things. And I
Yeah.
think one of the things I see shame as more like it doesn't come alone. It comes with like sisters, brothers, cousins, nephew, all of those things, and doesn't come by itself. It comes with all of those people grieve. It comes with, regret. It comes with, you know,
Every
you know,
emotion.
all of those things, like it just it brings out the, it makes us not to live our best life. That's the only way I can put it. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can put to it. And I just really want you at this point to really kind of like share that aspect of shame that you experience, that aspect of shame that you covered, because we are kind of like recovering from that shame. We're finding inner healing. And this is really kind of people listening, we want to really get them to the point where they can be their authentic self, where they can share their authentic story, where they can just be themselves,
Right.
and I just want you to really give us that pointer, tell us your story as to what kept you from telling this truth? Like, yeah, just talk to us.
Honestly, 2.5 years of trauma therapy. I did not know. I knew something was wrong. I always felt like I was missing out on something in life. The kind of like you're happy, but there could be more.
Hmm.
Kind of, you just want more. I wanted more out of life, and something was holding me back. And I realized my energy was just, it was stuck in a dark place. So
Mm-hmm.
after I started doing trauma therapy and EMDR therapy and shedding those layers and peeling back the layers, I was able to pinpoint times in my life that I was thinking, ooh, that is not my fault. Why am I holding on to the blame?
Mm-hmm.
So the
Wow.
more the more I did, the more EMDR therapy, the more I was able to put the pieces together. Like Steve Jobs said, you can't move forward until you go back and put those pieces together.
Hmm.
I chose to do that. So the more shameful my situations were, I was like, why? Why did I do this to myself? Why did I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect and not
Mm-hmm.
allow myself to be human? And I'm thinking, if I did this, there have to be women all over the world that were as dumb as me. And I say it jokingly because of, you know, my trauma leaves people with dark humor and inappropriate sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't realize that I was shaming myself for things that were out of my control that happened to me when I was a child.
Wow.
And it held me back living my best life. And it wasn't until I did the trauma therapy that I was able to put the pieces together. So much has happened in my life, not just, let's be honest, everyone has trauma. If you weren't bullied, God bless you. Everyone's been bullied.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has lost something, even if it's just a stuffed animal from your childhood. I
Absolutely.
uncovered stuff that I was like, I didn't even know I had a little doll by the name of Jingle Bells at 3 years old. And that's probably when my first trauma started. My mom told me it was inconsolable. I don't even remember that.
Hmm.
So it's like little pieces in my life that I'm like, all right, where do we need to heal? Where did I start? I had to start at the beginning to heal, and that was 3. So from 3 to I'm going to be 55 in December, significant, massive, life-changing trauma. I held it all in my belly. The body keeps the score. And once I started healing through therapy and just mindfulness meditation, I started letting go of the shit that was not my fault. And that's when I started my true healing journey, probably a year ago.
Wow. And then just really go right into it. Like, how, what happened next? Like, how did, just give us, like, we just really talked about like shame. We talked about like all of the thing. Like, can we just be like a little more specific as to what exactly is that aspect of shame? Because I'm just really kind of like thinking in the minds of my audience, they might just be like, okay, let's put it in context. What is that thing exactly? So yes.
Which part? Because I've got so. I mean, I could talk about the abuse. I mean, I could talk. Do you want to go specific? Is that
Yes. Hmm.
okay? I uncovered that I was sexually abused from the ages of 9 to 11, from 3 people that I knew very well. I did not remember this. I was diagnosed with dissociative amnesia. My trauma was that significant because of what happened when I was 9 to 11. I could not love. I could not give unconditional love because I was so broken. And like I told you before, I knew something was off. I was so broken that I did not remember what was wrong with me. So it was from the years of
Mm.
9 to 11. Um, I started getting flashbacks about a year ago, and I started putting the pieces together. But my root cause of everything and why I behave the way I do and why I did certain things was because of sexual abuse that I survived from the years of 9 to 11.
Mm, wow. And how did this impact you in your journey to where you are right now?
I was the original ice queen. I never let anyone in. I always had the mask of having everything put together. No one would ever see Stacey sweat. I've got it
Mm,
going on. I mean, I know when I'm doing something, I'm put together. I do the task, I get it done. I was also a perfectionist. I had to make it perfect because if anyone called me out, the doubt and shame waterfall would come pouring over my head and I was
mm.
done. I would get depressed. I would get anxious. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You're beautiful. You're strong. No, my innocence was stolen at 9 years old. And I had to fight to find that girl again.
And that's basically like one of the areas I want us to go to. There could be this very young girl or people who are who've been carrying traumas and whose innocence, possibly childhood traumas, and how can they get back to the point where they would find the magic in themselves, or that girl that they used to be, or possibly the girl that they've always loved to be? How can they get to that point?
Connecting with their inner child. Inner child healing changes everything. Go buy a book, The Inner Child Workshop on Amazon. Um, just releasing that inner child and giving yourself the love that you never deserved you're worthy of feeling. That's what worked for me. The minute I released my inner child, I look at life through her eyes. And last year, after my near death experience, I spent 90 days in heaven and I just loved up on her. I did everything
Mm,
for her. And what I ended up doing was I did certain ages of reparenting my inner child. I started at 3 and now I'm in the teenage years, which effing suck because she's a little 17-year-old, you know what? So, yeah, releasing your inner child changes everything. Do not be afraid to be by yourself. If you are
mm,
not by yourself and you cannot hear your own thoughts, you're never going to connect with your inner child and your inner wisdom. So I had to get lost. I tell people, there's a quote, not all who wander are lost, except for me. I was really fucking lost. And I own it. But I had to get rid of that old paradigm, that old limiting beliefs that were holding me back.
wow.
Inner child
Wow.
healing. Boom.
So, somebody could be asking this question, and I know you. I heard you say that question. You said, why am I holding on to the blame? You know,
Mhm.
there's just too many things in our lives coming around us. And one of those things are really, you did this. You're not a good person. It's your fault that you showed up there. If you had not showed up there, this wouldn't have happened. You know, all of those things. We just keep holding on to this blame and that blame and all of those kind of things. And
Right.
somebody's asking a question right now, saying, why am I holding on to the blame? How can I let go? How can I be free? How can I be myself? This kind of looks like the last question I asked, but just really put it into like that healing journey. So whoever is asking this question has gotten to that point of awareness where they feel like, I want to heal from this. And
You
how
have
can
to be Yeah, you have to be strong enough to put yourself first and be selfish for the first time in your life. You can't pour
hmm,
from an empty cup. You can't.
mm,
So for me, and again, I'm only talking from my experience, I had to look in the mirror and all my ugliness, all my flaws, my fat, my wrinkles, my gray, everything that I thought was just ugly was my heart and my head was telling me you're not worthy. I had to push past that and get into the mirror and say you are loved, you are beautiful,
mm,
you are worthy. And I did not believe it, but if you are consistent and you have to be repetitive, you have to do this every day. And finally one morning I popped up, I woke up, I looked in the mirror, and the woman back looking back at me was the woman that my heart sees, sometimes not my head.
mm. Absolutely, absolutely. And we want to just go into a little bit of, the near death experience that you had. I know that it's a little bit of a difficult story to share, but just really kind of like, because I just really want anybody listening to know that this is Stacey who had gone through so much, right? So much rock bottom moment. And I want to say she's beautifully broken because she's just like the butterfly, having gone through all of the things that she had gone through. And all of those things are meant to like just keep her down and keep me down or keep you down listening, right? But listen, she decided she was going to use her story as an inspiration. She was going to speak her truth unapologetically. And I really want you to, share that story, share that aspect of you, that aspect where you, that lowest rock bottom moments. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's funny you said, the beautifully broken, because I always said I was broken. I always was like, I'm just broken. I'm going to be broken the rest of my life. But after my near death experience, which was on April 24th of last year, I truly saw life with brand new eyes. So
Hmm.
to this day, it's still the most magical day of my life. It was actually the most magical night of my life. God told me to truly love myself, and I was able to start putting the tools in place. And after my NDE and what God told me to do, I started on that healing journey one step at a time to truly start walking to who I'm meant to be in this world, what I'm meant to do in this lifetime. So I had to die to come back to life because I was not living my full potential. Like Wayne Dyer says, I was about to die with my music in me. Not only that, I was about to die with my sadness, my shit. I was about to die with everything. I would have left not truly knowing what living was. And the most amazing part was I believed I was happy before my NDE. I believed I was happy. I was so wrong. I was so wrong because after what God has shown me, my heart opened up that night. And a week later I had I'm sorry. Oh yeah, a week later I had my breast implants removed. So
Hmm.
that were actually blocking my heart chakra. I'm an energy healer. That shit is true. I saw life with new eyes. I saw life with a new heart. I still cry at butterflies. I still cry at rainbows. I still get so excited seeing the same flower that I look at every day when I leave my house like it's the first time. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, God, what he's done in my life, I cannot simply put into words because I will babble, babble, babble on and on. But yeah, my near death experience, dying gave me life. It gave me life. And I was wrong about everything. Everything I thought I knew, like everything that was holding me back, like other women that are holding themselves back. I was so wrong. I was wrong.
Wow, wow, that's really, that's really an incredible and amazing story. And I just really want to know, like, you're no longer practicing as a registered nurse, are you?
No, I can't. My heart isn't in it.
And what really, if I may ask, what really made you kind of like have that switch where I know you love what you're doing right now, but how did you really kind of have that switch, having been a registered nurse for 27 years?
So understand when I'm a northerner. I was born in Philly. When something happens, I get angry. And since I wasn't allowed to express my anger all my life because people think you're crazy if you freak out or cry, um, I realized that my anger, once I allowed it to turn into empowerment, changed everything. Changed everything. So I truly had to find a way, more creative ways to let that anger go. To let that
Hmm.
anger go. You know? I don't know. It's just an amazing. I feel like for the first time I'm allowed to be human, and I feel like I can give other women permission to start being human because I think we lost that. COVID did not help, but I feel like no one is allowed to feel emotion anymore. And now I cry all the time, and I feel releasing my inner child and owning my truth unapologetically and living in my truth is something we're all meant to do. And if I can inspire one person with my story, then everything else right now, after my NDE, everything else has been golden. My life is truly abundantly blessed because of what God has done. So any other life that I impact, or I have someone else say like, oh, wow, I never knew about EMDR therapy. Oh my God, I was bullied. I didn't realize that could have had an impact. It's it's a drug, and I have an addictive personality, and I guess I'm addicted to that feeling of knowing I saved a life. But for me, after my NDE last year, I was treated like shit. I was
Hmm.
misdiagnosed. I was put on medications that depleted my immune system, and no one listened to me. Maybe the
Hmm.
anger is still inside of me. I've been able to unblock a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm usually a very happy. I don't hold on to shit anymore. But maybe that's a little too soon, because I'm like, I'm a human being, and I was thrown away like garbage, misdiagnosed. I'm like, no one asked about my trauma. I didn't even know about my trauma. And I'm like, how is this okay? How is this okay? So I had to walk away, while I still can say positive things about Western medicine. So
Yeah,
yeah, my
I'm
heart
just
is in it like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And honestly, I really enjoy it because of the fact that you're speaking your inner truths. You're just really speaking your truth unapologetically. And that's incredible. And as we begin to get to the point where we're wrapping up, I just really want you to talk to this little child, this little girl, this woman, this man, whatever, who's been, or somebody who's being sexually abused, because really kind of like, we're speaking all of this and we are finding healing. We're finding healings, and that's one of the things I encourage a lot of people, like, when you speak up, when you speak, when you come out unapologetically to share your truths, you are healing, because the more we keep those things to ourselves, the more they hold us back. And I really want you to hold the hands of this young woman who has been sexually abused, and she is in that place where she can't really speak because she's afraid, the fear of being judged, the fear of being blamed, the fear of being, oh, you got to the wrong place, you shouldn't have been there at that time, or whatever it is, whatever the circumstances, whatever it is.
Right.
I just really want you to really kind of like, hold your hands and really talk to them, and just being like, whatever you want to share with them, whatever words of wisdom that comes to you at this moment, just give, tell them something, tell them something positive, or tell them how they can get out of it, or anything like that. The floor is open right now, just share.
So Namastasia's making an appearance because she's my inner child. So what I would tell people is go buy yourself a doll. Don't give a shit what anyone says. Whatever age you need to heal, you hold that doll and you listen to her and you tell her she's safe and she's loved and she is protected. And you are
Hmm.
going to be the one that is going to protect her and make sure she has the most magical life moving forward. So that is what I want to tell people. Spend 15 minutes a day talking to your inner child. Ask what happened. Where can we heal? What do you want to do today? Now, there are days you're going to have fun. Watch the movie that she wants to watch. Color. I'm actually going on my anniversary this weekend, and I'm bringing bubbles because I'm going to stand on the top of the mountain blowing bubbles, and I'm doing this for her. And I no longer care what anyone says. And it's so liberating releasing your inner child, because at first you're going to feel very awkward and strange and like everyone's going to make fun of you. But you know what? The end result is a life beyond your wildest dreams. There's peace, there's freedom. You are literally living a life of inner peace, connected to God, your inner child, your inner wisdom, and your higher power. What could be better than that?
Hmm.
Pull her out, even with gentlemen, and do it innocently. Don't tell anyone what you're doing because they are going to judge you. Do it by yourself and make this your little special date every day with your inner child. It's life changing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I haven't really, like, the way you described it made so much sense. I haven't thought about like it just dawned on me that I just kind of pictured what you were saying, and it just really made sense. And it could just be, if you want to get a physical, doll, it's okay. If you want to
You
really
don't have
kind of
to.
like feel like I have it in my head, or just kind of like picture whatever, like just really speak to yourself and really like tell yourself, listen, I can't, like the way Stacey had just put it. um thank you so much, Stacey. That's awesome, that's incredible. And I just wanted to like get to the point of crying, and crying could be therapeutic, and that's why sometimes when I see people cry, I want to let them just let it out sometimes. And I want you to touch on that, because I know there've been certain points in your life where you were doing more of cry, 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 and I just really want to tell us about like what's the impact of crying basically in our lives, good or bad.
There is so much healing in those tears. And as I said before, I was the ice queen. I did not cry because honestly, because of all my trauma, I don't think
Hmm.
I would have ever stopped. So I was afraid. I was afraid to lose control. I was afraid to get angry. So after my NDE and my heart chakra was opened, I started noticing, I'm like, why? I'm noticing beautiful things, but I'm getting teary eyed. And I'm like, this is like
Mm,
tears of joy. But then once I opened up that can of worms, I opened up Pandora's box, and I realized I was so afraid to feel emotion. Once I
mm,
felt and I gave myself permission to heal, everything started coming out of my tears. I started journaling. I started writing poetry. I started playing more, and it hurt. I'm not going to lie. You have to feel in order to heal. There's no other way. Truly, you have to come to terms with what happened to you, let go of the shame and the blame. But it's the crying is freedom to me, because when I cry, I feel like I'm alive. And I spent most of my life numbing my pain. Why? Because I was afraid to feel these emotions. But I
mm,
promise, feel them for 90 seconds, got it, let go. It's just amazing how freeing. Dance, you don't want to buy a doll. Understand, I had to because I did not have a childhood. So she's my childhood. Dance. Get up and dance to some Mary J. Blige Family Affair when I want to say goodbye to people and drama. I get up and within 3 minutes, I'm like, whoo, freedom. It's amazing. It's an amazing way. Just release the tears, release whatever is holding you back. But for me, crying was probably the catalyst, because I was like, oh, wow, you are human. You know how to feel. Don't be afraid of the tears. Don't be afraid of the tears.
hmm. Wow,
It's where you
that's a
grow.
that is so good. It's really good. And I just really want you to give us possibly some affirmations of what are those things, words that really kept you in your journey, that has helped you, through, from your rock bottom moments to where you are right now.
I don't no longer give a shit what I look like. I want to be healthy inside. So my biggest one was I am whole and healthy. I am
Mm,
safe, and I am loved. I just wanted to know what unconditional love felt like. And I believe self love will virtually solve all of your fucking problems. I started with love. And for me, the broken mess that I was, love found a way. And it can find
mm,
their way with anyone. You just got to be open to it and say, I give myself permission to heal. And after that, I give myself permission to feel. And that's what
hmm.
changed. I gave myself permission to feel that pain, feel the emotions. And this is, again, what I did. And it worked. It worked because I don't even recognize the girl looking back. I'm like, I like you. And then the bad days, I'm like, I don't like you so much, but it's okay. Because I'm like, no, 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 we got this. That ego, the little seven dwarfs in your head, go away.
Mhm.
Bye. Canceled.
Wow. And honestly, Stacey, you're, as we begin to wrap up, you're a best-selling author, and just tell us about your book. Tell us where we can find your book, and honestly, guys, Stacey actually did some incredible book signing, and it was awesome. So tell us about it.
So when I told you last year about 90 Days in Heaven, I was bedridden. I had 24/7 care. What else was I supposed to do? So I started writing my story out. And I imagined myself sharing my story around the world. I'm a nurse. How's this going to happen? Well, what do you know? Last October, the book was released. I was asked to collaborate in a multi-author book called Speaking Her Truth, all about
Hmm.
24 women from around the globe that have found the light in the darkest of places. I'm not a writer. I took the biggest chance of my life and I stepped so far out of my comfort zone. So the publisher said, what can you speak about? What are you passionate about? Reiki and sex. Okay. So I wrote a chapter, Reiki is better than sex. And it appeared in this beautiful book. And on October 27th, it became a bestseller in 8 countries in 22 categories. The publishing house is in Australia, Art of Grace Publishing House. Women that want to inspire and empower specifically for their stories. And the coolest part is the book was called Speaking Your Truth. And after the book was launched, I didn't read the book for 5 months because I went into a severe depression because I was not worthy. All the trauma came back and I was like, nope. So I did some more healing. And that's why I canceled the book signings last year. And I just celebrated my first one on Sunday. It was one of the most magical days of my life. And my next one is in the North Carolina mountains. And that's on October 8th. And that's going to be the one, because last year when I saw this happening, I saw the waterfall, I saw the nature, I saw where I found God. And I'm like, I'm going to be back here. And I will on October 8th at that same spot that I knew I was going to be here. It's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
you are doing incredible. You are awesome. And as we
And I
begin to
have the book.
close,
Sorry. So people can reach out on Facebook. I have the book, or they can find it on Amazon, but I'll give them an autographed copy. I'm on Facebook, Stacey Piedrahita.
okay. Okay,
Sorry.
guys. So please, 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 you need this book. Like, you really need this book,
It's life
especially if
changing.
you're in your healing journey, because I will get the book. So, Stacey, I'll reach out to you in private. So, if you if you're in your healing journey, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're almost done with your healing journey, or you're starting your healing journey, or you're just in the middle of some type of healing, you need the book. I would get the book and just really kind of like reach out to Stacey. I will put her, Facebook handle on the show notes so you can connect with her. You can connect with Stacey. And honestly, Stacey, I just really want you to leave us with, your best advice, people listening, people who are going to be catching up on the replay. What would be your best advice, basically?
Take it one day at a time. One day at a time. If you want to work on self-love, which I recommend everyone does, one step at a time. If you take one little step and 2 steps back, what's the lesson I need to know? And you take the next step. Give yourself
Mm,
grace, give yourself kindness, and give yourself extra compassion, because I promise you, when you get to the top of the mountain, all those little steps, all those setbacks, all the mistakes, you're going to realize they make me, me. They make you, you. One step at a time. One step at a time. It's amazing.
wow. Wow. All the mistakes made me who
Everything.
I am.
Own it. Own your truth. Speak your
Hmm.
truth. Live your truth. Own your truth. And right now, I feel like I'm the epitome of owning my truth, because what I'm saying is my life experience, and I have the courage to come forward with this story, and there is no shame attached. I don't care what the haters have to say. It was not my fault. And I hope
Absolutely.
people resonate with that and take that in their heart, and they can say, look in the mirror and say, beautiful girl, it wasn't your fault.
Mm,
So thank you.
mm. Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. Wow. And one of the things I picked from what you said, I'm just really kind of like, trying to internalize it, is when you said, listen, all the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the things that happened to me, to anybody listening, we're working for our good. All of those
Yes.
things put together are meant to serve us. That is amazing. That is
Mhm.
incredible. And honestly, Stacey, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story. Thank you for the bravery. Thank you for being very vulnerable. Sometimes sharing things like this could be a little challenging.
Mhm.
One could be a little emotional. Talking about especially sexual abuse. Not a lot of people are bold enough to like share about you know their sexual abuse and stuff like that. But honestly, I just really want to thank you for the boldness. Thank you for coming on, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful, magical day, dear. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And God bless
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Wow. Oh my God, guys. That was amazing. That was incredible. And honestly, if you're just joining us now, you have to go catch up on the replay. It was phenomenal. And I'm gonna be adding Stacey's handle, social media handle on. I'm just gonna be editing, this, and I'm gonna be adding Stacey's social media handle to this, so you can connect with her, so you can reach out to her, get the bug, or you just want to connect with her, or you want to have a conversation with her, or maybe you want her to be on your show. Feel free to do that. Again, I am glad I had this conversation with Stacey, and I want to thank you again, Stacey, for coming on. And I want to thank you, everyone listening, connecting from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I want to say thank you so much, so much, so much for staying to the end of this. I will see you guys next time. All right, kisses, love, bye.